emperor of the rest of the systems of the body. And it has come up with some pretty fascinating research that, of course, again, corroborates ancient traditions and what they said, have been saying, I should say, for thousands and thousands of years. And so back in 1991, they discovered 40,000 cells in the heart, the organ of the heart, that were not heart cells. They were closer to brain cells. And this spurred a lot of research because, again, ancient traditions have always said that, the heart houses the mind. Many different religions will suggest that, God or the spirit or intuition, if you will, the soul is housed in the heart. It lives in the heart. And so, of course, this started a lot of research. And, of course, the research has been astounding and confirmatory. They found that there are 40 times more nerves that go from the heart to the brain than from the brain to the heart. They also found the most powerful electromagnetic field coming from the heart. It's 100 times more potent than any other electromagnetic field in the human body. It maxed out their measuring instruments, which could only take them out to about 11 feet. So there's this unseen force field, if you will, that emanates from the heart that goes out at least 11 feet, but ancient traditions will tell us that it's infinite, and it goes on forever. And so this is really an astounding finding by the Institute of Heart Math that if anyone needed, scientific evidence, well, there it is. And there's lots of other evidence. The Illustris Project by MIT, Harvard, and Max Planck Institute used X-ray telescopes sent up by NASA, the most famous of which is the Chandra telescope. It looks at things from an X-ray perspective, and they put all this data of these pictures that this telescope took into a supercomputer, and they devised what the universe must look like. And they called it, of course, the cosmic web, which is, an ancient name. Many ancient traditions have discussed the universe and what it looks like as a cosmic web. And so they have, again, physical, quote-unquote, evidence that the universe is, in fact, connected by every aspect of itself. And so this electromagnetic field that the Heart Math was able to, see, if you will, with its instruments was really amazing because it brought these ancient traditions into full view. Harvard, MIT, and Max Planck brought this into full view that, yes, we are all completely connected. And that brought the heart front and center as the number one thinking system of the human body and not the brain. Additional research has shown us that the brain is actually not even that capable of thinking. If we look at the brain and how much information it can actually process at once, it's minuscule as compared to what the heart can process. And so it's really exciting to see all this modern research coming in to really show us what we already knew, but it's just adding more proof just to, get us a little bit more balanced, a little bit more in line, and to allow more and more people to see in ways that, might resonate with them more. And so Heart Math is a critical tool that I've been using to treat SIBO because I believe that we have to find better ways to handle stress. Now, if stress isn't going anywhere, we're not going to control necessarily the conditions around us, but we do control how we interpret them and how we allow them to filter down into the body. And Heart Math shows us without question that we do have, in fact, full control. And how Heart Math works is they have a biofeedback tool that they recommend that you use. And you can put it right on your earlobe. And what it does is it looks at the autonomic nervous system, which is kind of that subconscious nervous system of the body. And it shows it to you in graphic form. So it kind of shows you what you're thinking about in a way, like if you're thinking in a way that keeps you calm or if you're thinking in a way that makes you anxious. So you can see these distinct patterns on the screen to let you know, like, what is going on in your subconscious mind? What is going on under the surface that you may not be aware of, and how is that translating through your nervous system down into the body? And they have these amazing 3-minute breathing techniques that will bring you into what they call coherence. In other words, give you your power back to control how your body is processing data and how it's filtering it down through the level of your body. So it allows you to, control your own mind, if you will, and control your own brain. And it brings the brain and the heart into full synchronicity, if you will, into full coherence. And you can see the tracing on the biofeedback equipment so that you have that feedback. You have the ability to see that, wow, look, I just controlled the physiology of my own body with a simple breathing technique. And, of course, you can develop that muscle memory and practice this breathing technique, which we'll go over in our next segment, in order to bring it more into your everyday experience. And so you don't want to just do it when you're rigged to the biofeedback tool on your phone, but you want to carry it with you through the day and have tools at your disposal that you can use when you feel yourself going out of balance. And this is what I believe has allowed me to overcome my own SIBO infection more successfully and to keep it at bay. And I believe this is what is going to help my clients and really the rest of the world in many ways to help us to get this survival mechanism that we needed, hundreds of thousands of years ago when we first appeared on the planet to survive as a species. Now we're beginning to understand we don't need that survival mechanism anymore. And this is just one of many tools that we can use to allow that system to fade into the background, if you will, so that we can live fully present in our lives and translate that down into wholeness, oneness, full connection with the universe and with everything that is beyond the universe, mind, body, and spirit. So we're getting ready for our next...
I'm so sorry to interrupt. You have a caller, Deborah from Rehoboth, Mass.
Oh, yes. Hi, Deborah.
Hello,
Good morning.
Dr. Malin. Thank you for connecting. First of all, I'm not familiar with, is it SIBO? Could you spell that?
Yes, it's an acronym, so it's small intestine bacterial overgrowth.
Okay.
And it's SIBO for short. And it is being blamed now for everything you can possibly think of because it is the hub of the body. So the small intestine is where every single nutrient that we eat is absorbed. So all of our vitamins, all of our minerals, all of our proteins, fats, carbohydrates, they all come into the body through the small intestine. It's 23 feet long, so it's very large. So in our conventional model, we have this assumption that, well, if part of it's infected, the rest of it will absorb. We don't have to worry about it. But we're finding out that's not at all the case because, B12, for example, is absorbed through a particular section of the small intestine, not through the whole of it, and fats are absorbed through a particular section of the small intestine. And so an infection in that area causes inflammation, it causes the cells to swell, it causes water to be retained, and you can't absorb through the small intestine if it's inflamed. And that is causing vitamin, mineral deficiencies, inflammation, toxicity. This idea of leaky gut is probably due to having an infection, probably in the small intestine that causes the bowels to eventually leak from all of the inflammatory responses and the toxins released by these bacteria. And then, of course, the small intestine is above the large intestine. So whatever goes through the small intestine will eventually make its way to the large intestine. And given how important that area of the body is, this is why we see all of these problems with the large intestine today. We see diverticulitis, colon cancer, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. Probably once we begin to really understand SIBO more, we'll begin to see that these conditions are probably being caused by an issue in the small intestine, and they're not isolated to the large intestine at all. So that's why this is so important to me in getting the word out to people, because it's in my opinion, misunderstood, and we need to look at it from a more holistic perspective so that we can really help people prevent diseases and also help them connect more with mind, body, and spirit.
Very good. I love it. One of the questions or thoughts I had and wanted to wanted to hear your input or your expertise is for those that have celiac disease and they are on a strict GF, dairy-free, organic diet, doing probiotics, enzymes, aloe juice, all the things that they suggest. Should they be taking supplements of collagen and glutamine? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my answer to any particular condition is always it depends. And when we look at a condition like celiac, we have to say, well, what is the cause of it? And again, the causes, according to conventional medicine, are not satisfactory. They just loop around and keep causing the condition. So it's not a good place to end and say, well, celiac disease is this unknown thing and stop eating dairy and take these supplements. We have to say, what causes celiac disease from a holistic perspective? And again, we have to visit and see, does this person have a small bowel infection? And is that what's causing the celiac disease? And if so, the specific supplements that individual wants to take are those supplements which will treat the small bowel infection. Taking glutamine and avoiding dairy will help you to control your symptoms, but it will not get to the root cause of the condition until those root causes are identified and treated. So if it's toxins causing the celiac disease, for example, if they live in a home where they're exposed to various toxins coming in, damaging the gut, then the supplements they want to take are supplements that will assist the liver to remove those toxins from their bodies, and of course going back and identifying what those toxins are to remove them from the home or the work environment, wherever they're found. And so the specific supplements have to be geared to the specific root causes, which TCM helps us to identify. So, taking supplements will help control symptoms. So glutamine will help seal the gut. It will help heal the gut. But if the underlying factors that are causing the celiac disease are still raging on unabated, you're just not going to get anywhere long term, if that makes sense.
It does. So you mentioned herbs earlier for the small intestine. What exactly would you suggest with what herbs heal that infection that you spoke of?
Yes, so Johns Hopkins studied a couple of herbal cocktails in particular. One is called Candibactin AR, and the other is called Candibactin BR. They're by a company called Metagenics. And they consist of a cocktail of different herbs, berberine, podarco, garlic is known to help treat SIBO, many, many different herbs. In certain cases, cayenne pepper is utilized. So the cocktails of different herbs. In TCM, we try and tailor the herbs to the person's constitution. But in terms of treating SIBO, there are herbs that were studied specifically for SIBO, so we use those particular herbs. The other set of herbs studied by Johns Hopkins were called dysbiocide and FC-cytal, again, a cocktail of 10, 11, 12 different herbs in each capsule. And they treated people by having them take those capsules several times a day for 4 weeks. They got a 50%, just under 50%, success rate in treating the SIBO with this cocktail, as opposed to 34% using antibiotics. So the herbs were much better, but unfortunately still no better than flipping a coin in terms of resolving this infection. That's what led me to say, well, what else is going on here? It's not just bugs. It's got to be something else. And that led me along the lines of the stress and the overthinking and finding ways to help people mitigate the impact of stress. Because, again, if you don't get to the underlying root causes, you can kill bugs until the end of time. They'll just come back.
Yes. Well, thank you for being a physician that questions a lot and always trying to figure out solutions. So I thank you very much for all your information, Malin.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you.
Okay. I'll leave it so others may call. Thank you.
No, thank you. Always appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Well, bye-bye.
Bye now. Thank you. Well, it's